So once Zutopia is up running, because you're using third-party contractors, will you need an external IT body or business to give sign off at the credentials level independently?
Look, it's open source code. I mean, someone else can do that. I'm at the arse end of my life, really, so I'm not going to be wasting 10 years doing that. But the product in itself will prove itself. If it does what its mandate is, and that's moving coins from A to B and money from B to A, that's as far as an in-depth it goes. It's not a difficult program when you think about how it's running. The only thing to make sure is it's running 24/7, which is the service. So the way we're working the nodes, which is the nodes that store the data, well, the case, remember we talk about the last 2 transactions being stored on the nodes or the servers. That's where we're spending a lot of money and time to make sure, tens of thousands of people can hook up a very simple little plug-in to the existing websites that literally can run at $125 a month, and they can be community participants in making sure the network and what's happening is operating continuously. Unlike the problems we're seeing, which is what Robert's talking about, again, read the MyZooCoin stuff. Ethereum's got problems because of the stakeholders, the way they're managing their engines to produce transactions. Bitcoin's already hitting brick walls in times, getting transactions into the blockchain. And the other night, there was a massive uproar because an internal coder at Lightning Network, which is the second layer to help Bitcoin, openly disclosed that there's gaping holes in the code and it could bring the network down. Wow. The other sort of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, that it's not me that needs to be in a position to manage that or do that. It's a case of, yes, it's built and keep it operating. That's the key.
Yeah, and I think at the start of our interview, what you were essentially saying comes under reputational risk. And that is, if you go too early, half-baked, or things not finished, you will lose, you only get one chance in the marketplace in most instances. So, delays can be essential to get it right, because trying to bring it forward a month early can blow it up for everybody. So,
well, you do, No, we don't want to be seen. Look, I'm a very patient bloke, and I've been involved with things, and you've all seen on my background with cases. I don't want to suggest for a minute that anybody wants to go through an endurance test and wait 25 years, like I've done with court cases. But what I am saying is that it's been a massive project since day dot. A lot of private funding has gone into it, and I am a vested party through my trust, through the ownership of coins. So I'm a bit selfish in that regard, because the outcomes that I see affect my trusts with their ownerships as much as anybody else on a big scale. So you do get one shot at it, and I have been waiting patiently. Things like the Zutopia is a very complicated piece of code to automate from the 90-second time locks that you see, which is unique in the world, to doing 100,000 transactions per second for merchants and things. And some people say, why haven't you started your marketing? Well, there's good reason, because, we're giving away coins, which has been in my zoo time. There's about 1 million plus coins, free ones to go out. You guys have got some treats there that instead of giving away, there's a cheap entry price, and that's a strategy to create some supply. And if you take that up, you'll make a lot of money. I mean, I don't like giving away hundreds of millions of dollars just because I'm a good bloke. That's not, if I was greedy, I'd be hanging on to the coins, to be honest. But there's plenty to go around, and it needs those coins in the marketplace, as it does with like the 50-cent ones you're seeing. If you miss out, you miss out. But again, it comes back to the whole big picture of what's been built. We're at the pointy end, and you don't want to run a race and you get to the end of it and you lose the bloody lot, because I've got some people, I'm not suggesting in the room, but I've got some people that are angry because they can't put their deposits on a penthouse or a $40 million boat. That's just crazy stuff. That doesn't solve or assist anybody. Where there's genuine people who've got financial problems that are really looking forward to making some good money on them.
And so, Alan, Zutopia gets up, you said that if other exchanges or developers want to build an API to other exchanges, then there's no limitation for someone who's maybe got a greater appetite for risk in respect to, well, I don't mind using overseas exchanges now that such and such has built one between Zutopia and the exchanges. Is that a correct statement for some people if they wanted to? Because then it's not your responsibility beyond someone using Zutopia because they've decided to route it through different exchanges.
My focus is that the exchanges we have, when we spend big money initially, because we're looking, that's the normal process, is to pay large money sums up front in order to list a coin. And I guess the reality check there is that when you list, it's not just a case of listing and someone wakes up magically one morning and says, wow, we're at $300 a coin. There's a lot of work to be done behind the scenes. Years ago, we had in there play that we could have had a floor of $60, which the appetite for that on a regulatory basis wasn't a good idea, although the exchange said technically that wasn't going to be a problem in another jurisdiction. But that messes around with a lot of exchanges coming into play. So what they normally have in a normal exchange is you've got market makers, and these are glorified guys that ring up the main players with big coins and say, listen, we'll take 10 million or 5 million coins off your hands, we'll play with those, we'll make a killing on it, but we'll create liquidity if the buying side comes in. Because it's no good, if we introduce 10 million new wallets and everybody wants to buy 2 coins, there's not enough coins, even those that have come in as early adopters and sell out at 100x their buy price, or double, for example. If you've got a 50-cent coin and you're selling it at $5, you're not going to see that anywhere in the world in terms of returns. But the market makers, of course, then cause problems because they're the ones controlling the way the market works, because that's the nature of the beast with crypto exchanges. So with Zutopia, the coins that you see, whether they're the 50-cent ones in the budget or they're the million that's going to go out, and there's probably going to be another 2 million that will go out globally in fractions, which allows me to put those fractions out to tens of millions of wallets. Instead of the benefit going to the market makers, there's going to be a windfall for those that have picked those up, because on one hand you've got to have some sales, and if you're going to make a profit, put it in the market. If it comes below $100 and it's trading at $20, that doesn't necessarily mean in the long term that's going to sit at 20, because that could be the people 50 cents selling out. So on the flip side, you've got, if there's, as I said, 10 million wallets and you've got two coins being bought because they've got a free coin, then the demand will push because there won't be the supply. All I'm focused on is I can't deliver the ability to use the augmented reality, which is fantastic, and to the credit of Zari, that's my son's business, they're kicking some big goals using that technology with some big contracts, which I know that I can send out, 10 million wallets, drop them around the world using that earlier Zcash version of that technology. But I can't even put a single coin into a wallet without the Zubot, which has been thoroughly tested, because Peter Allen would sit in support, and if he did as a data, you cannot mathematically have one person, as you know how it works with the 90-second time clock, trying to pre-fill 10 million wallets with a fraction of a coin. So there's no point talking about the marketing strategy, because as soon as that comes into play, which now we're working towards, mid-November, I can go hell for leather, drop those coins around the place, and then start to see how that pans out with the buyers coming in from around the world. We don't have big players that I want to bring in with large volumes of buying it, because they're the first ones to dump the coins. If you can imagine, you've got some people that have got a free wallet with a free coin in it, they're more likely to buy one or fractions of Zoo coins and sit on them, because they're looking at higher prices. So you soak up coins on one hand. On the other hand, you're encouraging early adopters to say, oh, well, I'm prepared to sell 10 or 50 or 40% of my current Zoo coin holding into the market. And that can be accommodated through Zutopia.